Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to my video. So recently I've been seeing this type of paint called gouache appear all over Facebook. Now I've never really seen gouache available in Bangladesh before, especially this particular brand of gouache. I mean, we've all grown up using oil pastels that look like this, but the gouache, I don't know, I've never seen this. So I got really curious and I decided to investigate. The first thing I did was I got into YouTube and I searched up reviews for this, and what was weird was I didn't find anything. Like, there was nothing. There was no advertisements, there was no 2-second videos of people unboxing this in a language that I can't understand. Like, there was nothing. There was literally nothing. I don't know what, that's never, like, I've never seen that before, and that really that made me feel really curious. So I got into Google and then I searched it up, and again I didn't find anything related to Titi Gouache. And like, what is happening? Like, why is there nothing there? And then I went on to finding their business website in hopes of finding, I don't know, something like, is this real? Is this a part of our imagination? Like, what's happening? And there was nothing. Like, I could only find this thing, like this combo paint set for kids. And why does it say it's for kids? I mean, this thing literally says it's artist gouache, it's artist paint, but then it says it's for kids. Like, what is happening? I'm in the yellow pages. I don't know what's happening. I went down to their business site, and why am I doing this? I don't know, but that's basically what happened. And yeah, here I am in the yellow pages of Korea. I mean, I even searched up Korean gouache and I didn't find anything, and I thought that was so weird. Titi, by the way, is a Korean company, so that's why I was searching up Korean gouache, and they didn't really, well, yeah. Anyway, so I gave into my capitalist impulses and I bought the paint anyway, because, you know, if no one's gonna review it, I'm gonna review it, and so I can share it with everybody. And yeah, here it is. So before I show you what gouache is, I wanted to talk a little bit about what gouache is as a paint. I think I'm kind of repeating myself. Anyway, it's my first ever video. Please forgive me. So gouache is basically an opaque sort of paint. It's very much like watercolor. People also call it opaque watercolor. It can give you like a really nice flat finish, and it's used mostly for illustrations. So while swatching the paints, I realized that these paints were really nice and creamy, and that my usual watercolor brush wasn't really cutting it. So I switched on to using a TT brush and found out that it was much easier to use. I was using a big brush. I wish I had a smaller size, but this was the one I had. Later on, I brought a set of Keep Smiling brushes, and those I think were my personal favorite to use. Just a side note, I had used gouache before, but I had like a really cheap set. Like, they were so cheap, they didn't have a brand name or anything, and they barely acted as paint. So this was like a major upgrade. So after I was done with swatching, I decided that I wanted to make a palette out of it. The great thing about watercolors and with gouache is that you can put the paints on a palette and then dry it out, and then you can re-wet the paints and then you can use it, which you can't do for acrylics or any paint related to acrylics, because acrylics dry permanent, and after they're dried you can't really use them anymore. But you can for gouache, which is what exactly you can see here. So I put the paint in small tubs of the palettes. I like folding palettes because they're easier. You can just leave the palettes to dry and then you can close it, put it on a shelf, and then use it when you want to. The big spaces of the paint is where you use to mix the paint, and the small spaces where you keep the paint. So I do this for my watercolors, and I also do this for my gouache. One thing though I wish that I did was that the paint, after I put them in the tubs, I wish I took a toothpick and smoothed it out like I did later on when I was filling out my white paint, because the paints were like they dried really solid and they had a texture to them, which is problematic because when you're running your brush over them, it can damage your brush because your bristles like get everywhere and you don't want that. Okay, now that's done. Here's a painting I did with gouache. I did several, but this is just one of them that I did. I hope you enjoy it. That's all for me. This is my first video. If you like it, please subscribe and share it with all your artsy friends. And let me know if there is any particular video that you want me to make. I'm from Bangladesh and I like to review products that we have available here. And enjoy the rest of the video. Have fun, you guys. Bye.